pop out. Oop, I gotta pop out the chat in case anybody shows up. See what happens. All right. A one, a two, a one, two, three. Hello, hello, hello. What ho? Welcome back to another exciting adventure of Radio Free Anarchy. I'm your host, Travel Mateus, sitting here with my good friend, Mark Doxey.
Hiya, folks. Good to be here.
Yeah, so let's catch up. What's going on with you, man?
Not much really. It's more of the same. The kids have been off school for Easter, so they go back to school tomorrow. So school runs start all over again tomorrow. What about yourself? Anything new?
I'm just, continuing to work in the bar and, get stretched in ways that in the past were probably more debilitating to me in terms of, wanting to continue to do something that's hard and difficult instead of just quitting. And I'm not saying that I want to quit bartending. I'm just saying that there are aspects of it that I really, 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 really don't like. And there are, and it's like, okay, so right now I'm in a place where I only have this option. Like I've created my existence so much so that I don't have anywhere else to go or be if I quit this job. And that's an extreme way of putting it, because a lot of me is wanting to push through this and be better at the end of it. With skills, with
People skills.
Oh, you think I need people skills?
No, I don't. Not at all. Not at all. No. I was just. I wondered what you meant. No, you.
Well, no, I mean, I mean it all. People skills for one thing. Like last night, I'll give you an instance, right? Last night, toward the end of the night, after I'd given last call, these two women were drunkily chatting at the bar, having their Moscow mules. And I'm cleaning up, I'm putting dishes away, I'm washing dishes. Like, I was, do you know what a barback is?
A barback? No.
Okay, so here in the States, if you have a really high profile bar or a lot of traffic, it would be helpful for the bartender to have someone there to help him, not making the drinks, not doing anything else except all the shit that is in the periphery of, cleaning dishes, washing dishes, getting dishes out of the way. Like, I had to do all of that stuff, as well as keep my eye on the tickets that I had to make drinks for. Like, that rattles and shocks my brain into fear mode. And so I want to be more of a Jedi at the end of this training. And I know that that's the case, right? Because the guy that I work with has been in the restaurant business for over 30 years, and the guy is a complete boss behind the bar.
Yeah.
But he's also wired in a way that's different than I am, in the sense like he likes this lifestyle. I don't know that I like the lifestyle yet.
Are there any quiet moments?
Well, see, my whole first month of training was in such a slow pocket of business that there weren't enough drinks for me to make. Like, more people were ordering just beer, and I could pour beer like no problem. I can sling suds, no worries. But in terms of, the restaurant has specialty cocktails that they have made, and they also have the generic, classics that, most people will come in and order a Manhattan or order a sidecar or a Sazerac or whatever. And I don't know any of those drinks.
Right.
I've got to learn them, but if no one comes in and orders them, then where am I going to make them? So last night, or in the past week, really, there were a couple of days where there was a lot of business, and I was, under the gun in terms of the pressure of making the drinks in a timely fashion and all that kind of stuff. So, and then at the end of the night, I'm managing the waitresses who come in with their closing checks and giving me their cash and making sure that I'm gonna be balanced in the drawer. Like that shit just stresses me out.
Right. Okay. Oh, no, I get you. So it's not sort of the classic tale of a customer pouring out the heart to the bartender.
I haven't gotten to that part yet, but let me go back to those two women because they disappeared away from the bar, and one of the drinks was empty, and the other one was about half full. But the two girls, they went away, and I had already started closing the bar down, and so I took their drinks and threw them in the drain, and kept cleaning up. And lo and behold, they walked back, and they're like, "Where are our drinks?" And I'm like, well, first of all, I didn't know who they belonged to. They were just sitting there. They could have been anybody's. I didn't know, and there was no one there. And so the one, I'd already told you that they were both a bit deep in the sauce already, and so they got lippy with me. And so I'm sitting there right now like, okay, am I going to have an argument like trying to defend myself and say to these women, look, I had legitimate reason to throw your goddamn drinks away, for this reason or that reason. Or would the easier thing to be would be to just look, I understand what you're saying. It's completely my fault. Let me make you another drink. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would have been able to do that 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
I would have been more interested in defending my position and going, look, bitch.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is a bit of that spectrum of both customer service and just the dynamics and the mechanics of the whole enterprise.
Yeah. Well, let's hope it gets easier for you and you start to enjoy it, because there's nothing like having a job that you don't like.
Yeah, but again, I like it. I want to like it. I want to like it more, and the intuitive side of me says, okay, well, if you like it and you want to get better at it, the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you stick with it. And you might have to start to like memorize the ingredients.
Yeah.
Before I get into the bar. But then I have this fear of, or that maybe it's just this laziness, right? It's the whole thing of waking life. What's the one reason why we don't have more superstar bartenders? Well, the answer to that question is in this question. What is the greatest characteristic of humanity? Fear or laziness? The only reason why I'm not going to learn any of these recipes is because of laziness. That's the only reason. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I've got to kick myself in the ass and not be lazy. But whenever I get my cards out and I start looking at my cards, I'm like, oh, this is so stupid. This is so boring. And I'm like, no, bro, this is how you're going to make your living. If you don't get these recipes down and you lag behind, that's going to affect,
How many do you need to know, sort of roughly, without any of the real obscure ones?
I don't know the answer to that. If you go on YouTube or whatever, it'll say 50 classic drinks that every bartender needs to know, 75 classic drinks. Yeah. It's a lot.
That was the figure I was looking for. I was more or less thinking of half a dozen.
But if you think about it, the only difference between a daiquiri and a gimlet is the liquor. It's the same goddamn drink. It's lime and sweetener. So most of the drinks, if you think about it that way, are pretty easy to memorize because all you have to do is keep those measurements the same and then just change out your gin for what was the first drink I said? Gimlet. Oh, a daiquiri, a rum,
Yeah.
So there is a bit of ease to it, but at the same time, man, it's like if I were going to if someone said, hey, make yourself a daiquiri, I could do it no problem and be happy.
Yeah.
But if someone said, now make these 3 people daiquiris, I'd be like, okay, what's the recipe?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So now are people being patient with you? You just
Oh
sit and
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Over and above, it's been really really positive that way.
yeah,
I think for the most part, some people's exposure to me was with the grocery store where I was working before, and but for the most part, most of the customers in the bar were never people that I met in the grocery store. So
hmm
but they have turned out to be, pretty decent people. Uh, I think I told you about Jesse Jackson, right?
yeah,
That
you
one guy
told
that
me.
gave me some lip. He and I are on better terms. Even though when he gets drunk, I noticed this on the last time we were chatting because he had quite a few beers. And when he gets to that point, he'll say to me, "I'm still trying to figure you out." But like for the first hour and a half of him being there, we were talking about this, that, or the other, having no problem. But then he had one too many beers in him, and that voice inside his head goes, "Man, this guy, I just can't figure this guy out." And so then he goes down that rabbit trail of just being kind of, I don't know, suspicious. I guess. But yeah, for the most part, it's been good. I've gotten crazy tips. Like these people that I see on a regular basis are spending so much money on the socialization of bars.
Yeah,
Like they could save so much money by just buying the booze themselves and drinking at home,
hmm
right? But they don't. They come to a place that's like 5 times more expensive for the liquor for the society.
and they're generous with the tips as well.
Not everybody. Some people, like last night, I was thinking, I thought to myself quite a few times, I'm like, are you serious, man? But other people make up for it.
Yeah,
Like last night, honestly, I made $340 in tips, which blew
okay,
my mind.
yes,
And that was just the cash. And I was seeing on the charges 20s and 10s. So I probably made at least $500 just in tips yesterday, which just blew my mind. You
that's
know,
brilliant.
it's not pretty good. That's really good for where I'm at right now. And again, that's that. Um,
And you don't have to declare it to the IRS or.
oh no, I'm supposed to. Yeah, absolutely, I'm supposed to.
What's the name of your channel?
Can
Taxi
anything
stuff.
I say or do be used against me in a court of law, sir?
Yeah. I was just the other day somebody posted on Facebook taxi theft, and then there was comments of people who agreed with him, and there's other people came on saying, "No, we need taxes. Who's going to pay for war?" That's where the only way that the government can get us to fight other countries is by taxing us. Uh, Income tax in the UK or in the British Isles started during the Napoleonic Wars so that we could fight Napoleon, and they never dropped that tax. It was brought in as an emergency to pay for the war. So if we didn't pay our taxes, there wouldn't be any war. Governments couldn't afford to go.
Yeah, well, imagine if you wanted to start an enterprise, Mark, and you just simply went around to your neighbors with a gun and said, "Give me £100 for this thing that I want to do. Otherwise, I'm going to throw you in my cellar."
Yeah. hmm Yeah, but it's a good cause though. It's for the other neighbour that can't afford to live. So give me your money.
Uh huh.
It's madness.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched your video on dissect, listening to Bob Dylan. I actually don't know that song. I mean, I know the famous Blonde on Blonde album, but I didn't know the song. I checked out on Wikipedia. It's apparently supposed to be one of his best he's ever written. What was it? What was
Visions
Dylan's
of
name?
Johanna.
Yeah, Visions of Johann. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a brilliant. He's a genius. He's a genius.
Is he?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
But
Other people have to interpret the, the musicality. That's an awful word. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like just like Tom Thumb Blues, by Bob Dylan himself. Okay, it's clever, but when Nina Simone sings it, oh, it just blows you away.
Well, a lot of my exposure to Bob Dylan was through John Denver, Peter, Paul, and Mary, and other people that were covering his,
Yeah,
his writing. So,
yeah,
as is the case with Bruce Springsteen's song "Blinded by the Light,"
hmm,
right? I didn't know that so Manfred Mann's Earth Band, is that what it's called?
yeah,
Um, their version of it is what everybody knows,
yeah,
but it's not Bruce Springsteen's version. And it doesn't even have as many verses. Like the version that Bruce wrote has more verses to it. But I
uh-huh.
don't prefer Bruce's version. I much rather listen to Manfred Mann's version. So when
Yeah,
I got exposed to Bob Dylan as a kid, I had absolutely no taste for his vocalization of his
yeah,
lyrics. I did not like the way he sang
yeah,
or spoke sang, you know.
yeah. Hmm. Yeah, Masters of War again is would be my favorite anti-war song.
Okay.
And again done by, I think, was it Rage Against the Machine, did a version of that, and they put enough anger in it, um, to match the message.
Okay.
Um, where Bob Dylan again, he's a poet, isn't he? With a horrible voice. Although Lady Delay is quite melodic.
Yeah, I listened to a second song by him that was more melodic in vocalization, where it was more of a singing voice, and
Yeah.
I couldn't tell that it was Bob Dylan.
No.
Like,
No.
you know what I mean?
Uh huh.
You play where he's like, uh, uh, I don't know. I can't think of a line that he would say like if he talks like this and he's saying what he's saying, like
Yeah.
hey, blah, 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 like you would be
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's Bob Dylan.
Uh
And you're
huh.
like, okay, now listen to this one. It's like, vocalizations are totally different. You're like, I have no idea who that is,
Yeah.
and it's Bob Dylan.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you got some new chicks. Are those your hatchlings, or did you get those from somebody else?
No, there were hatchlings. Yeah, I don't want any hatchlings because 6 out of 10 hatchlings are actually roosters. Um, that's the on average, and nobody wants roosters. They're noisy. They fight each other, and they don't give you eggs. And you can't give them away because nobody wants them. So I normally try when a hen goes brooding. Uh, I try and discourage the hen. But so I put what I thought were dud eggs underneath this particular hen, thinking that they'll never hatch. She'll get bored. And then just last Sunday, I opened the coop, and there's these beautiful four little chicks. So, I don't know how many of them are roosters. Probably three of them are going to be roosters, statistically. But yeah, I'm enjoying watching them, and the way the mothers look. These two hens have taken them under their wing. It's surprising how many expressions we use daily, and it refers to chickens. So two hens have taken these four hatchlings under their wing, and it could have been the eggs could have come from any one of the six girls that I have. And it's great to watch how the mothers will protect them to their own death. It's amazing.
I was at a uh, camping weekend with other alternative thinkers, and they had a homesteading mom come and talk about her homesteading experience. And she held up one egg in one hand and another egg in another hand, and she said, "Which one is going to hatch a rooster?"
Mm-hmm.
And so her theory is that if you were in the next time you have eggs, whether or not, regardless of whether they are fertilized, the rooster's egg will look differently than the hen egg will.
Yeah, I don't know, but I've heard that if it's round, if it's rounder, it's going to be a hen, and if it's longer, it's going to be a
Right.
rooster. But I think it's a bit of an old wives' tale.
Well, but I'm going to give you a challenge should you choose to accept it, and that is
Okay.
again, regardless. Like you didn't know that eggs that you put under for brooding were actually fertilized.
I know
So,
I knew they were fertilized, but I'd let them go cold for
oh, I see.
about 4 or 5 days, thinking that they won't wake up. But apparently they did.
No, that's like hyperstatic sleep state
Yeah,
for them. So
yeah,
that's what this woman said. She said, "So here's what you do, right? If because nobody, like you said, wants 10 roosters." And so the idea is, I think, oh, that, yeah. So she says, okay, so next time your hen lays, find the round ones. Those are hens. Separate them out. Find the
yeah.
roosters, put them in a cellar. Don't wash them. Don't clean them. They will remain in hyperspace until you want them to be woken up. So let's say, for instance, a dog gets a hold of, or a fox gets, or a badger gets a hold, weasel gets a hold of. What else do you guys have out there? Uh,
Rats.
Stoats.
No, no, not so. Badgers and foxes.
Okay, so badger, right? So let's say a badger takes out your rooster. Well, you just go down to your cellar, get that little rooster egg, plop it under, and boom, you got another one.
No, I didn't know that. I didn't
That
know
was
that.
her suggestion.
Wow.
So regardless of whether or not they are, fertilized, you take the pointy ones and sequester them out, and you just keep the round ones, either for consumption or whatever. But hey, we got somebody who jumped in. This is Ms. Ruby. She's got a quote about roosters. She says, "Don't be like a rooster who thinks the sun rises to hear him crow."
Okay, here's a challenge for you. Think of some references to hens in the Bible.
Well, do you mean like allusions or references where they mention hens specifically?
Yeah, reference where they mention the
Yeah,
hen
I can't think of.
It's it's a hard one actually. Well, we can go with rooster. You know, the rooster will crow 3 times before dawn.
Yep.
People, but we'll accept rooster. And the other one
Oh,
is
wait. I've got a. I don't know. I didn't know it was a hen. I thought it was just maybe some other bird, but I do know that the psalmist refers to taking refuge with Yahweh as a chick taking refuge under the wings of the hen or whatever, something like that.
yeah, you got that one. And then there's another one where Jesus says, if a son asks for an egg, you'll give him a stone. You wouldn't give him a stone. Is that right? Is that the
Uh,
one?
s- yeah. I, I
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's an egg or a stone, but the
No,
idea is there.
if your son asks for an egg, you wouldn't give him a stone.
Oh no, I'll take money on this one. Okay, I think
Okay.
it's I think it is if your son asks you for a loaf of bread, you won't give him a stone.
Did he not give 2 examples?
Yeah, he did, but I think that the one that you're thinking of is rather a loaf of bread and not an
Okay, so
egg.
what was the alternative to an egg then?
I'm not sure. You're the one that's botching the.
I'm the one. Okay then.
Hey, Ms. Ruby, while Mark looks up his fact checks, let us know where you're from and did you just happen upon this live stream?
If you'd like to show some food, call it to me.
What was that?
Krennic.
Sorry.
I found it. Found it. Jesus actually said 3 things, and you, like a smart ass, got the stone and the bread right.
Oh,
And
wait.
then
Oh, okay. So I'm a smartass because I got something right?
yeah, and then if he asks for a fish instead, you'll give him a serpent.
Oh,
Or he
yeah,
asks,
yeah. That's the other one, yeah.
or if he asks for an egg, and you give him a scorpion. So that's it. That's a reference
Oh,
to a hen.
there is an egg in the scorpion?
Yeah, yeah. Jesus gives 3 examples, um, And if your son asks for an egg, will he give him a scorpion? If then
Okay.
you as evil know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will our Heavenly Father give the Holy Spirit to those asking?
Okay.
So there you go.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, you were the smart ass.
All right. Well, just
Yes.
Ms. Ruby, thanks so much for joining us from Sun Valley, California. I'm originally from Southern California. I grew up in Ventura County. But thanks for being here. And if you like what you're hearing, just make sure that you share the content and all that good stuff. Mark and I are here just catching up. And if you hear us talk about anything you want us to follow up on, just post a comment in the chat. Also, Ms. Ruby, excuse me for just belaboring this, but it's all about trying to grow my channel. The only way that you're going to have someone to talk to in the chat is if you invite someone. So find maybe 1 or 2 people that you can send them this link, and then they'll have you to talk to when they show up. But yeah, I am hoping that reaction to Bob Dylan will, bring some subscribers my way. It's really frustrating for me as a content creator to see that an early reaction to that same song where I only listened to 3 minutes of it. And then I said, okay, if you come across this and you liked my reaction and you want me to finish, let's get the likes up to 100, right? So I was trying to encourage the people who liked my video to share the content. So if you look at the count, there's like almost 1,500 views of my previous reaction to the same song by Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
But there's only 58 likes, right? Guess how many of those likes subscribed to my channel? 0.
How many?
0.
0. Oh, right. Okay. Okay.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Makes no sense.
So, musical content of famous artists.
Well, yeah, but not even totally famous like Bob Dylan, because I have another reaction of a song that is just monumentally epic by a group from the 80s called The Call.
The Tall.
No, The Call. C-A-L-L, The Call.
The Call, yeah. I did actually see that, yeah. It was the title was from another song as well, wasn't it?
I'm not sure what you mean.
The title of the song that you were analysing. It's also the title of another song by another artist.
For Love, I think. If you're
For Your Love, yeah, that was it. That was it. 60s song, wasn't it? For Your Love.
Yeah, but that's For Your Love, yeah. For your
Oh,
love, for your love.
And was it
For your love. Now you got me going. Like, who is that? Is that the Turtles?
I think it was Cream, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe. For your
No.
love.
You're the smart ass. Come on, tell me.
Well, we haven't heard from Ms. Ruby again, so I don't know if she hung around or left.
Should have invited her on.
But I just got done reacting to another song that is very, 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 very highly watched. Oh, she's still here. Very highly watched, called Hi Ren. Have you seen that? It's by a British busking artist called Ren. And a year ago, if not more than a year ago, he released a viral video that everybody and their mother reacted to. So my friend Derek suggested that I do a reaction to it. So I've started to do it, and it is taking me inordinately long to make something that I'm happy with.
Are we live? Are we? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And what's the name of this young lady that's joined us?
Ms. Ruby.
Ms. Rubik. Should we bring her on?
I don't know, Ms. Ruby. Are you up for jumping on? You don't have to be on camera, but the sultry sound of your voice could always be appreciated. And as you know, we'll just leave it the way it is. I'm not going to give out any wrenches. She says no, thank you. That's perfectly acceptable. Well, Ms. Ruby, is there anything you want us to?
Hello. What ho?
That's all right. Ms. Ruby, is there anything that you would like us to talk about?
What ho?
Mark, are you new to this?
Am I new to it?
Yeah, you're playing over the live show, man. You're like early days of Nathan Oakley.
Shut up.
Oh, but man, it is a glorious day out, and I'm so disappointed because 2 days ago the waning crescent moon and Venus and Saturn were in alignment to make a smiley face, and the Smurf dam chem spewing clouds were just clouded over for 2 days straight, and I had no opportunity to see this phenomenon.
Yeah, I saw it as well. It was people were saying you're going to see a smiley face in the sky, but we didn't get it either.
Yeah.
What was the one?
So it looks like Ms. Ruby is just chillaxing, just trying to get a sense of what our vibration is.
Walk your walk. Okay, give us a subject, Ms. Ruby, and we'll try.
Well, how about walking the walk and talking the talk? I mean, we could talk about self-awareness. How about you, Mark? Let's do that. How are you doing with your newest challenge in your existence by abstaining from?
I became dependent on alcohol. Secret drinker. Once everybody had gone to bed, I got the whiskey bottle out. Or if I got the house to myself, I got the whiskey bottle out. That's been going on for too many years. And it decided to. It was affecting my health. My wife was saying I look very jaundiced, very yellow. So I decided to join AA. This is now my fifth week of being sober. Feeling really good at it. It's amazing that how I actually personally feel. I've got lots of energy, and I'm not lethargic like I was. I'm a lot more patient with the kids. It must have been awful to live with. Lost a bit of weight, and I got a sparkle in my eye, so I'm actually feeling really good.
What was that last thing that you said before you said you feel really good?
I got a bit of a sparkle in my eye as well.
Oh, sparkle. Okay. Yeah. And so, what about the color? Has your color improved?
Yeah, no, it's fine. The yellow's gone. The whites of my eye are white now, rather than yellow.
Give me a second, real quick. I'm going to touch up on my audio real quick. Let me see if I can.
Oh, do I need to speak louder? Is that what I need?
No. I'm just going to put you up and set me down. So now, Ms. Ruby, in a minute or two, if you can let us know how that adjustment went. Well, good. I'm glad. And then what about your sponsor? Have you had any more talks with him in terms of like what you're thinking?
Yeah, well, once a week I have a Zoom meeting with him. And he's very good. He's younger than me. He's about maybe 13, 15 years younger than me.
And you're 70? Is that what you are? You're 70?
I'm 70. Thank you. I'm 65, all right? So he's 50. Well, he's very good. Why is he good? Part of the ethos of AA is that you need to attach yourself to a higher power. And it's only the higher power that's going to get you off the dependency for alcohol. But it's a bit of a cop-out because it's a higher power however you see it. So that's not very satisfying to me. But he's of the same opinion. and you just leave it. Leave it. We'll come back to that another time. He uses meditation, and looks out for the good in people, tries to be charitable. So that's quite spiritual. And that's he's been sober for 7 years. That's how he does it. But he did say there's 12 steps, and the 11th step, if you stop at the 11th step, it's only been a self-help journey. But the 12th step is where you become a sponsor. And that's where he sees me as a sponsor at some point. I don't know how soon that would be. But I would like to help other people as well.
Yeah.
Just, it's okay, you can actually live without alcohol, and you can still enjoy life.
So, do you remember any times in your past when you were wanting to kick this habit before and it didn't stick?
No, I didn't, because I didn't really see myself having a problem,
Okay.
other than I was spending maybe 60, 70, 80 pound a week on the stuff. I mean, that is a problem.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. So now you have a little bit of excess now,
Oh yes, I do. Yeah, I do.
and so now you're
So
showering. You're showering on you with all of these flowers and dresses and
oh yeah.
sun hats and whatnot.
So my oldest daughter, she would be 30 now. I told her that I'm going to AA. And she was very gracious about it, very kind and quite touching. And then my second oldest son, he would be 27, and I told him as well, and he shook my hand. He said, "Well done, Dad. I'm very proud of you." So yeah, that helps as well. So
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
yeah. Um, what did Miss Ruby say? What you walk and talk your talk. Yeah. So I'm talking the talk of how good it is not to be drinking alcohol.
Have you felt any physiological pull to go back? Have you had that inner voice saying, "Oh, come on, Mark, it's not just one drink, bro"?
Well, I think that's part of what my sponsor tells me, that he doesn't word it with it's the worst thing you can do. He says you just got to be careful of that overconfidence, that you think you could. I can just take one Guinness, and when really an alcoholic can't just stop at one. He was telling me that's when the actual what's the word? Not dependency, addiction. The addiction is after the first one. So I'm not going to test it. I don't really feel I need to. I miss, so when I'm sitting in the computer having a glass and just sipping away. So I've got actually I'm drinking, is it turmeric with fizzy water at the moment? And it's just that glass in your hand, a bit like if you're giving cigarettes up. You lose that. You miss that movement with your fingers.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. They don't call alcohol for no good reason. That stuff has ruined so many families. Well, I came to alcohol when I was 55. So I missed all that, losing your job or losing your kids or breaking your family up because of alcohol.
Okay, wait. So what does that mean? Before you were 55, how did your relationship with alcohol before then change?
I could drink a pint a week and not really.
Oh, care whether or not you had another one?
I could, or I wouldn't be thinking, "I can't wait for a weekend." That was just never part of it. I think it was just when I went through bankruptcy and also had health issues. I wasn't working, so I had lots of time on my hands, and I just maybe. Well, that's what it was. That's what it was. Actually, just going to close the door because there's somebody in the kitchen. Hang on.
All right. All right. Well, Ms. Ruby, thanks so much for again hanging out. Have you thought of anybody that you could invite along with to join you in the chat? She mentions alcohol being referred to as the spirit, and I think that's an interesting idea to think about as to why that word was chosen when when you think about drawing something out of which is the spirit of the fruit, or the spirit of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Like wheat or barley, or whatever else you might make something out of. Potatoes. I mean, you can make vodka out of anything, right? You can make gin out of anything,
Yes, that's right.
right? So then, but the process itself doesn't have to have. I don't think doesn't have to have this detrimental, um, you know, harmful result,
No,
because
no, there's plenty of people can drink moderately.
well, no, but I mean, even in terms of drawing out, like, say some people use alcohol to, if you put, let's say, basil into vodka, the vodka will draw out the spirit of the basil, and
Okay.
then the vodka will be infused with. This is all what the alchemy, right? Taking one thing and transforming it into another thing.
Yeah, actually used to make the stuff myself. Had a little still, and I'd use. Actually, that was a couple of years ago. In the supermarket, in the local store, they were selling off. Do you have Weetabix in America?
Say it again.
Weetabix. It's like a
Uh,
cereal.
it doesn't ring a bell for me.
It's cereal made of wheat, and they were selling off a whole lot of it. So it must have been approaching its sell-by date. So I brought it home and mashed it and made whiskey out of it. It wasn't very nice, actually, but that's how desperate I was.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's, if we look at apothecary alchemy, right? If you drink this tea that is steeped with dandelion root and mugwort and oregano or whatever it is, you are trying to infuse yourself with the spirit of that herb or that plant. So the whole thing that I was just trying to say, I'm not trying to legitimize, I'm not trying to make an excuse for creating whiskey for people to consume just to get drunk. My point was that in the original idea of alchemy, if you knew that this plant had medicinal purposes, and
Yes.
you could draw out that medicine.
Yeah, it's a
You know.
tincture.
Right. Yeah, tincture. That's right, tincture.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, well, the gin gets its flavour from the juniper berry, doesn't it?
Oh, I love gin.
Yeah. Oh dear. Oh, no, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I love everything, really, except, I mean, vodka to me is the least impressive of any of the spirits. If I were to choose which one I would want, it would depend on my mood, but I think I would probably go bourbon and gin for a tie at the front, and then rye, and then tequila, rum, and then vodka.
No, I want one.
No, seriously, no, okay, like, let's talk about that. Like, when you said that, was that what? Where was that coming from?
No, it was just a bit of humour. That was all.
Yeah, right. So that's the ironic part about humor, is that there's always this in the back of my mind. I'm thinking, oh man, is Mark really, like, did he really have that voice that said that was triggered? Because there are times when the jokester in my mind makes a joke or makes a pun, and the other person could take it the wrong way, as if I really did think that thing that I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He says something about the person who gets easily offended. That maybe they got feelings of inadequacy, or I don't know. Somebody who's overly sensitive. I wouldn't really want them in my company.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. There's a friend of mine that has high interests in me, and uh, there are aspects of her personality that I'm not sure that I want to experience in a relationship. And one of those is her apparent sensitivity to taking things personally.
Yeah, so some people need to learn not to do that. Maybe it's habitual. Um,
Well, it could be just simply the attachments that she's had in relationships in the past where from what she and I have talked about our previous relationships, I'll say that her last one was more of an abusive um, situation with a narcissist.
yeah.
But she has asked me several times about things that only go on in her head that she's thinking about if I'm thinking about those things. And one of the things that I said to her, I said, look,
Oh,
it,
right. Okay. We got a little comment from Miss Ruby, which we can come back to. I don't want to lose that because she's got something interesting to say. But sorry, carry on.
um, just that if I said something to her that was a compliment, she doubled down and questioned whether or not my compliment was sincere.
Well,
And she,
sarcasm.
or sarcasm or whatever.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that those questions that she has is because of the relationships in the past where the person wasn't authentic in their communication. So that's what I said to her. I said, look, I said, I hope that you can just get to the point to where you take me at face value. If I say something to you, that's what I mean. Like, don't ask me if I mean something differently than what I'm actually saying, because that's not going to be helpful in the realm of communication.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, maybe you have to give somebody that space if they are damaged goods from previous relationships.
Yeah, for sure, and that's what I'm saying. Like, our friendship is still going to be maintained. I'm not worried about our having a friendship. I'm just not interested in investing in someone who has to work through that process. I think if that makes sense.
Codependents attract narcissists. That needs dismantling, Miss Ruby.
Well, it's like sheep attracts wolves.
Yeah.
It's just the
Oh yes, I see.
nature
Oh
of
right, I see. Yeah. I see. I get that. Yeah, yeah.
you know what I mean.
So I'm going for a bathroom break. Give me 2 seconds. All right.
Okay, yeah, no worries. All right, so this is a good station identification point here, Ms. Ruby. If you are interested, my channel is called Radio Free Anarchy, and this channel is all about the human experience and what that means within relationships with other people as well as our governing authorities. I am an anarchist, and I can explain what anarchy means for me. If you want, Ms. Ruby, you can go to the very first episode that I created, which is an introduction to the channel itself. But in brief, anarchy is simply living a life of love wherein my rules are not enforced on anyone else. And so I expect that reciprocity extended to me in that you would love me enough not to enforce or impose your rules onto me. I mean, in just the basic breakdown of what I think anarchy would mean is that the law that I live by is the law of love, and that law does not impose its will against another will. How's that, Mark?
Yeah, I think eBay, the way people sell and buy things off each other, is a form of anarchy. Everybody's looking after their own feedback, And because of that, we can make a decision and trust somebody's. You've gone quiet. I can see you moving, but
Me? What do you mean?
oh, no, sorry. Is that right? Forgive me. Yeah, I think that, yeah, the way people buy and sell on eBay, there's no sort of hard and fast rules, and you can choose to buy or not to buy from somebody on the reputation that they have in their feedback.
Yeah. Right.
Do you have car boot sales?
I can think of places where I've seen stores that are carpet stores. Is that you mean
No, car boot, car trunk sales. You put,
we call those yard sales here.
yeah, you put all your junk in the back of your car, and then you go to a field, and then you sort of
Okay.
buy what, and there's no interference from government yet, and it's all a cash basis.
Well, don't you have to pay for the spot that you're occupying?
Well, yeah, if there's somebody cutting the grass, then they fair enough. They need some sort of payment for them looking after that ground.
Yeah, so I'm in that situation here in Laredo where I'm living because they have a farmer's market here in town, but they charge you $25 a year for a business license.
Oh yeah, we don't know. Anarchists don't like licenses.
Yeah. So I went to the guy who was in charge of it, and I said, "Hey, just wanted to find out, like, what's the $25 for?" And he said, "It's for a business license." And I'm like, "Yeah, I get that. What's the license for? Like, what's the exchange? I'm giving you $25 for what? Like, where did you get that value? How about I give you 25 cents? Like, that's my value on this license. Where did you get the value for $25? Like, where does that money go? Does it go into your pocket? Right?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure out, okay, so now I'm just new to this town. Do I come out as an anarchist right away and try to figure out how to buck the system, so to speak, and say, I don't need no stinking license and I can set up a booth here and, do whatever. And then when the first official comes my way, I hand them a piece of paper and say, I'm considering this harassment. If you take it any further, I will be seeing you in court to the tune of $1 million. Leave me alone.
Okay. Does if it's a license, then no, that forget that. But does he look after the land? Does he have any sort of?
So the area that the other farmers put their booths up in is between the library and a mercantile building, but it is a grassy area with a walkway between it. Now, I wouldn't mind. I would rather the library say, in order to use our property, it costs you $25 a year. I have no problem with that. Just don't call it a business license. You get me?
Yeah.
So that's my contrast in terms of I would much rather donate. I would much rather give $25 to the public library to use their property, which is kind of like what you were saying before. Like if somebody has a field and they have to maintain it, and he says, "Look, I want $10 from everybody because you're using mine. I've got to, I'm doing this for you. You're doing this for everybody." Covers the cost of the fuel or whatever it is. That makes perfect sense to me.
It's a fair exchange.
Fair exchange. There's no fair exchange in bureaucracy.
No.
Because I don't have a way to negotiate your rate.
Okay. Okay, and there's no shame in being a capitalist either.
Well, that's another argument I would take issue with, but go ahead.
Well, it's whether or not you have the choice I mean, if it's a free market capitalism, you, you have got the choice whether you want to buy it or not. And if your prices are too high, well, then you're going to bring them down. It's sort of not
Yeah, but
free
see,
market
right, but
capitalism.
isn't that just simply fair trade as well? Capitalism
Oh
to
yeah,
me,
yes, yeah.
yeah, capitalism to me takes the economic structure out of fair trade because
Mhm.
you're driven by profit rather than by fair exchange. If you're a capitalist, you need your business to succeed in order for you to maintain the lifestyle that you're trying to maintain. Whether or not you keep yourself in a hovel and say, I'm a billionaire, but I drive a shitty car and I live in a small little flat. I don't need to be grandiose. However, I have amassed, millions and billions of dollars. That person, like, there's no need to have that much money. Zero. Like,
So
unless you've created a lifestyle that is so extreme that you have to have that much money, which means that you are going to sacrifice the good of other people for your lifestyle.
okay, so give you an example of maybe a fat cat capitalist who produces a product um, where he sells millions of them. And he has a factory that uses chemicals, and the chemicals are poisoning the river that flows by. So people up the river are being poisoned by his greedy capitalism. So at the moment, we can get the government and the judges
Yeah, yeah,
to end.
right. But see, that's where government is necessary because businesses are not human beings, right?
Oh, yeah, okay,
So
but
you so then we have to appeal to that. In my opinion, that's what government originally was for. Government was originally to govern businesses in their operations so that there's no monopoly, right? Like, I'm the only one who provides this thing and people want it and I charge inordinate amounts of money that is just absurd. And I don't care what the audience says. I don't care what the customer says. I'm abusing them. Well, what recourse do they have to my
stop.
capitalistic? Well, yeah, okay. The one is to withdraw from participation.
Yes.
But outside of that, that's where the government would come in and say, "Hey, XYZ Corporation, you have to do this," and that's where the difference between a human being and a corporation is that you have to make policy that violates the rights of a human being, but you couch it in the presentation against a corporation. I can make a policy against a corporation because it's not a human being. I can regulate a corporation because it's not a
Why,
human being.
why do we tolerate these state entities?
I think primarily because you and I have just grown up in the milieu, in the existence that already is here, and we are in a toxic pond, and we're finally going, you know what, I kind of gotta, if you go over, hey, have you ever swam over to the other side of the pond and there's like this really interesting flow of, I guess I would call it non-toxic water or fresh water. Like, it's amazing. But then you go back into the toxicity and you're like, why isn't the rest of this place like the entrance where all of the fresh water is coming in? So you and I have been given, I guess, tastes of non-toxic ways of thinking that are
Yeah,
much,
we're trying to deprogram ourselves.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, in a truly anarchic society, there wouldn't be corporations.
Yes.
We'd be
Yes,
humans.
exactly. And that to me is the intuitive aspect of this discussion. If you could say that you and I would not treat each other the way corporations treat each other or the way corporations treat humanity, then to me that shows what we ought to do in terms of making changes. We have to get rid of those things that we would wish weren't there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a root and branch change, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But all at the same time, you can't really expect to get a healthy tree if the roots
No,
are rotten. You almost have to, dig it up
we,
and replace it
we
with
have to
something
have a
else.
we have to have a violent revolution.
Or-
Oh, no, we don't.
you say you want a revolution?
um, I don't know. These what's it called? What do we call it? Elon Musk's cars. What do they call Tesla? It's down like something like 40% sales are down because people have chosen not to buy. Well, for whatever reasons are, it's people's choosing not to buy it.
Well, how about this? What if it's per? I wonder if the statistics and the market has considered whether or not they've saturated all the Smurf dam uh,
Yeah,
aristocratic oligarchs who can afford those cars.
yeah.
Like
It
that
could be.
audience, that audience is already bought. Like I'm never going to buy a Tesla, you're never going to buy a Tesla, but that doesn't mean anything really because they've already reached the audience that they want, right? So like it doesn't that become the whole possibility in the market where you design something that is designed to fail so that the customer has to come back to you to buy the replacement part,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I would rather build you an automobile that's never going to break down as long as you maintain it preventatively, right? Make sure it's got oil, make sure you rotate the tires, all of the things that will extend the life of the vehicle. I want to create something that you're never going to have to come back for me to. Like that's the way that's the way my capitalistic mind works.
yeah, yeah,
But again, that's not the way. Let's say, for instance, if I started a car company that was intended to build the best car that was going to last the longest, and if something did break down that wasn't, um, your fault or something like that, of course we're going to replace those parts. But I'm not building the car with the intent that it will eventually die, so that you have to come back to me.
yeah. It's carrying on with what we're talking about. It's just slightly off topic. There's a class action suit going against Tesla for that they programmed their mileometer to read something like 15% over. So if you travel 100 miles, your car's telling you that you actually done 115 miles, which means that the warranty will run out quicker. And there's a class action going on against Tesla now.
Well, I mean, that's the duplicity of the corporation. That's what I'm saying. Like you and I would
Yeah,
never have done that. So then, if
no,
I go back to the fact that I create a car that is going to be the best out there, because for all intents and purposes, you're never going to have to come back and see me again because the car is going to run forever. Now, Ford or one of the other big companies comes along and says, "Oh, we want to buy your company, and here's $10 billion." I'd be like, "No, because you're going to destroy everything that I created. You're going to put in plastic that's going to break. You're going to put in filaments that are going to pop. You're going to put in all of these things that are going to go against everything that I created this." So that's what's happened, in my opinion, right? People in the past have created inventions that were for the benefit of humanity, and then some corporation says, "Look, I'll give you $2-3 million for your idea." Well, that's what I want. I want to be able to retire and have all the money, like, so I'm going to do it. And then you just kissed away your contribution to society because that corporation is going to either bury what you made or completely change it so that it doesn't look anything like what you did. And that's what happens in corporations. They forget about the human aspect of it because it's always, in my opinion, it's always about the bottom dollar.
yes, yeah. Do you have in your law? It's called a strict liability.
What do you mean? Tell me what that means.
Um, that you can't that certain laws or legislation are what it actually says on the paper, and you can't argue it, and it's called a strict liability. For instance, speeding. If if you're caught speeding in here, you're starting off as a strict liability. You can't argue your way out of it. If the proof is there, you can't give any sob story.
Yeah, I don't think that term that term doesn't ring a bell with me, but I think I understand
And
the
it came from the Victorian factories that where fat cats would abuse their
right.
employees if they had say if they had an accident um, because of negligence on the part of the employer. Um, they could go to court as with a strict liability that no sob story from the fat cat. There was no bias towards him. It was to the person that got injured. That's where it came from.
But it's changed now. It's no longer that. So it
Oh,
sounds.
no, that's where that's where it came from. Yeah.
So then the strict liability is the liability is against the business or the corporation. It's holding
right,
them.
yes.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's what I'm saying. That's where the government comes in and creates the rules so that this person or this company doesn't abuse its workers. It doesn't make them work 7 days a week and never gives them a day off and makes them work 12 hours a day with only a 10-minute break. Whatever. That's like, again, that environment to me is not created for the sustainability of the human person, because you're not only going to affect the person physically, but you're going to affect them mentally, you're going to affect them spiritually, you're going to affect them emotionally. Like, again, corporations are called corporations. Why? Because they're dead. And what do they produce? Death. They kill their constituents at the cost of stocks and trades and board members, shareholders. I'm completely convinced that every corporation and every governing entity from monarchy down to whatever was created for the subjugation of the human person.
Definitely. Yes.
Because you and I would never do that with anyone.
No, we wouldn't have. It's a corporation, so it's dead speak. Something that's dead is speaking, and it gets priority over somebody who's living that's speaking. I don't know why we put up with it, or why people can't see it. This is called a pregnant pause, is it?
It's just not awkward.
Well, okay, it's half eight. Can we wind up?
Yeah, for sure. I've got my dinner on the stove anyway, so I've been thinking about how to make that transition. But you just made it for me, so yeah, for sure.
We have to leave things to talk about again, don't we? Another day. So Ms. Rubik gave us a little scripture to look at there, or quoted.
Yeah, I read it already.
Oh, did you? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. I've got it all pulled up right here. I can see everything. It's just.
Right. I'm going to say goodbye, Albin.
All right, old sock.
And thank you for our audience for listening. Ms. Rubik, we hope we'll see you again.
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay. All right, Mark. Toodles.
Goodbye. Bye.
All right. So, Miss Ruby, thanks for hanging out. Wish you were here. Yeah. So I appreciate your participation, and just want to make sure if you have subscribed, just keep your eye out for the content that I put up, and I would love to see you make some comments and maybe give me some ideas in terms of where to take some of my creative ambitions. So, gonna wrap this up right now. This has been another exciting adventure of Radio Free Anarchy. I have been your host, Travel Mateus. Until next time. I don't know what that means. I actually try not to reinvent the wheel because all of my content is original with me. But if you mean something else other than that, please help me understand what that is, because I'm not sure I understand what you mean by don't invent the wheel or don't reinvent the wheel.